Hey guys, and welcome back to another Was It Woke video. So today we're going to be talking about Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, and we're going to be running it through my usual criteria to determine how woke was it. Firstly, we have racial diversity. So this film definitely has a diverse cast. Particularly here we're talking mainly about obviously the human characters. Most of the characters in this film are apes. Not really any interest there to talk about diversity because they're apes. But talking about the humans, there is diversity there, but it does not feel forced in any way. And so to me, I'm just going to give a straight up 0 out of 10 for racial diversity. Number 2 is LGBTQ representation. This is an easy one. There was none in this film. Obviously, this is a film about apes, so we're not going to be really seeing any of that. And yeah, there's none present obviously amongst the humans either. So yeah, easy one, 0 out of 10 for LGBTQ representation. Number 3 is toxic masculinity / feminist messaging. So starting up to cover those things, the males and females in this film are not portrayed as inherently good or bad in any way based on their gender. You just have good characters and bad characters kind of on both sides. Even May, the main human of this film, she's presented as good just because she's human, but she actually does a lot of morally questionable things throughout the film, particularly towards the end, the way she kind of betrays Noah and then backstabs him a little bit. And even the way she killed the other human, the William H. Macy's character. So there's, she's definitely morally compromised, I would say. But on top of that, what the issue I would have when it comes to kind of the feminism of this film is that they definitely made her character a Mary Sue. For people who are not familiar with that term, a Mary Sue is basically a female character who's just great at everything for the sake of being great at everything. They don't really show or explain how she's good at these things. They just make her that way. Classic example of this in modern history is Rey from the recent Star Wars sequel trilogy. She was just good at everything without any explanation or any real training. Here we have May. She's kind of the same. She's just very athletic. She gets the one up on a lot of the apes a lot of the time. She knows everything about the history of humans and apes and all of that, even though she's really young. A lot of it doesn't kind of make sense when you think about it in detail, but it's not a big, I don't really have a major gripe with it because it doesn't bear too much on the film overall. And so I'm just going to give a 2 out of 10 for toxic masculinity / feminist messaging. Number 4 is traditions bad, progressivism good. So this was an interesting one because they obviously exclusively talk about the Roman Empire a lot in this film and kind of trying to build this new civilization of apes off of that template. And that's really interesting to see. I really like that about the film. And it's kind of cool to see that they were showing that this is naturally how a new dominant species would try and construct their civilization. And they're sort of repeating what humans did, but they're also making the same mistakes in that it inherently leads to a dictator and a hierarchy that is not fair and all those sorts of things. So it's making building a realistic society off of that template, but also showing the downsides of it. And so it's respecting kind of the truth of what the Roman Empire was. It gave us what is now Western civilization essentially, but it also was seriously bad at the same time because of the dictatorial nature of the empire. So yeah, it shows the good and the bad of both, and I really like that. And so I'm just going to give a 0 out of 10 for traditions bad, progressivism good. Number 5 is anti-capitalism / pro-socialism. So there's not really any anti or pro sentiments in this film to either of those, but what I will say is that it does kind of show, particularly in contrast to the more Roman Empire style of civilization building that's happening with Proximus and his apes, compared to the small kind of village that Noah's tribe is established with. They kind of show that village as having kind of a more sort of communist style of living, where it's just kind of equal and shared resources and all that sort of thing. And it is showing that, I guess, as the sort of more virtuous way of living compared particularly to that more Roman imperial style of living. And whilst look, this is a post-apocalyptic film about apes trying to build a civilization, I'm not going to be critical in that regard really at all. I'm only going to give a slight gripe to it just because it does kind of inherently present that as the more kind of moral group, but here we're talking about apes here, so I'm not going to really give many points for that. So I'm just going to give a 1 out of 10 for anti-capitalism / pro-socialism. So the total of that 5 criteria is 3. We take that 3 and we divide it by the 5 criteria and we equal with 0.6. And 0.6 is firmly not woke. This is not really a surprise at all. After all, this is a film about apes. There's not really any opportunities or reason to have wokeness in a film like this. But I will let you know if in the future films that we have trans apes or bisexual apes. I'll let you know if that comes along. But it's just safe to be sure there's none of that in this film whatsoever. So it is definitely safe for your consuming if you're concerned about wokeness in any way. So there you go, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes is not woke. I recommend you go see it. It is a decent film. There's nothing to worry about, as I said, with the wokeness. And yeah, let me know your thoughts, guys, in the comment section below. If you've seen it, what did you think? Did you think it had wokeness? Did you think it was not? I'd love to hear it all. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe to my channel, and we'll talk to you next time. Bye.